Hey!
Ho, ho,
Happy
ho, as they
holidays.
say.
Happy holidays.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Spread, NESN.com's football picks podcast. NESN.com's weekly NFL picks video podcast thing, whatever you want to call it. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole. That's Ricky Doyle. That's Andre Kachaturian. Welcome into the Christmas holiday.
You look nice.
Whatever you want
You
to
look
call
very
it.
nice.
I dressed up for the
Very
occasion.
festive.
I wore my my Christmas best. We've got the it's a little toasty in here today. Got the fire cranked up nice and high.
Yeah.
Hat's very warm. It's keeping my head very warm.
All we're missing is a little Bing Crosby, little cousin Nat King Cole, maybe the little Andy Williams, but we're not here to talk. There's the fire.
Nice.
We're not necessarily here to talk Christmas or the holidays. We're here to talk NFL picks. As we do every week, we'll make our three. We'll pick the three best games of the week. We'll do locks, upsets, show and tell, and then we will head for the exits to finish our holiday shopping. But before we get into week 16, which is I'm going to be honest, guys, not a great week, not a great slate. Could be a nice chance for you to get together with your families, enjoy yourselves, open up some presents. But football will be on the background. That's all you can really ask for. At least you can avoid conversation with the relatives. Before we get into week 16 fully, though, we'll go look back at week 15. Andre, do you have the records?
I absolutely do. I went 3 pushes last week. It was very strange.
Those are not the right.
That is week 10's standings.
It's
Yeah, I mean, you tell someone something,
really
and they don't listen. But
You're doing well.
anyway,
We'll show the improvement.
We put so much effort into the fire that,
that's okay.
you can only ask so much.
It's okay.
Somebody's
I
getting
went
cold.
7-5-3 last week. Mike went 6-6-3, and Ricky went 3-9-3. So now, because we don't have a slate on the screen, the records 104, 103, and 10. Mike and me, we have tied in first place.
Oh, it's a race to the finish.
Ricky, you went 3-9-3 last week. I don't know
right.
what's wrong with you. You're usually good at the end of the seasons. Then
Couple Hail Marys there.
Yeah,
98.
it's the thing. You get this late, you got to start,
there it
roll
is.
with a lot of
Hey!
underdogs here.
Standings after week. Ricky.
What a historic week for favorites as well.
Right.
A lot of favorite.
Yeah.
Every single favorite won outright.
Most of them covered too.
And most of them covered. I think that's really what
Yeah.
did me in. I think it was it was only the third time since the merger. And I love the merger, the 1970 merger, that every favorite won outright.
I wish I did an all
On a
favorites
NFL week.
regular parlay. I wonder how much I would have won.
Probably
So
a
not
lot.
a good week for Vegas, in other words.
No, yeah. So
And not a good week for me as well.
hasn't been a good year for Vegas. I mean, sure they're going to win it over the long run, but I feel like I've had a lot of good weeks, which means that can't be a good week for if simpletons like us are having good weeks, then it's probably bad news for Vegas.
It's good. Also, I have to say something. I had a very lucid dream last night. It felt very real. It felt like it was Sunday afternoon in my dream. Sunday afternoon, we still hadn't done the spread. It was 4 p.m. and we were just getting ready to do the spread. And I was in a big panic, and you guys were yelling at me, and then I woke up. I'm like, oh, it's only Tuesday.
That would have been our best week though if we ran at the
Do the
advantage
spread on
of getting
Sunday,
the 4
yeah.
o'clock after the 1 o'clock games. Would be great.
Well, I'm glad that it was very. Have you had those very real dreams?
I'm not ruling that out for week 17. So let's take that approach.
That's a good point. All right, let's get into it. That's way too much banter. Nobody really cares what we think about anything other than these football games, and really they don't care about that. They just want to make fun of us on the internet.
That's debatable.
So let's give them some reasons to make fun of us. We'll start Sunday afternoon, an NFC South clash with a lot of playoff implications, the divisional implications. This is a rematch, a revenge game from what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I forgot it was that recent.
Thursday
It was a
night
Thursday
game,
night game. But we have the Atlanta Falcons going to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 5.5-point favorites after they beat the Jets. It wasn't very easy. Same can be said for the Atlanta Falcons on Monday night. They struggled, or at least held off a late charging Tampa Bay Bucks who missed a field goal at the buzzer. Shocking, I know. As I said, the Saints 5.5-point favorites as it currently stands right now. Ricky, why don't you start here?
Yeah, neither team really looking impressive last week, but especially the Falcons.
Maybe a little bit of look ahead for both teams.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it was a little more understandable in the Saints instance because that Falcons team, it felt like there was a little more desperation, I think, surrounding that game. Now they're obviously in the driver's seat here in terms of locking up a playoff spot. But still, just a lot of troubling signs. I mean, if Devontae Freeman doesn't just go completely bonkers in that game, they're coming away with that with an L. 10 games this year decided by 7 points or fewer. So this is, you want to talk about battle tested. The team's going to be battle tested, whether that's good or bad going into the postseason. But I like the Saints in this game. I look at that Falcons defense. We've brought this up several times throughout the year. Issues tackling.
Yeah.
Bad tackling team. You look at them as well. I get the sense late in the game, this was an issue in the Super Bowl, and it kind of carried over into this year. I think they wear down. That pass rush really wears down. You look at a time possession team like the Saints, I think they control the ball, control the clock, ended up winning this game.
I'd love to see if you look at the numbers. There's probably a way to look these up, but their second half numbers against the spread would be really interesting to look at, because I actually went to bed Monday night at halftime. They were winning, I think it was 17-7, and I was not shocked at all to see that they only won by 3. I feel like there probably could have been a lot of money to be made live betting against the Falcons in the second half. But Andre, what do you think?
It's an interesting point. I'm going with the Saints as well. I don't know if you mentioned this, Ricky, but Alvin Kamara got injured very early in that game, or if you mentioned it. But
it was the opening drive, right?
Yeah, he only had 1 carry in that game, and that's different now. He had a pretty solid game last week, 89 total yards of offense. And I don't know what the Saints did well against the Jets. They won by 12. Just because they didn't cover a 16-point spread, it doesn't mean they played poorly. They had a pretty good game. Drew Brees, every game this season, every single game, he's completed at least 60% of his passes. That's remarkable. That's 14 consecutive games of accuracy. Meanwhile, Matt Ryan, the last 3 games, below 60%, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's kind of struggling. You don't always talk about the battle of the trenches. These are 2 great offensive lines. I don't know if that's going to be a big factor in this one, but I do like the fact that the Saints have the better quarterback. They got the better running game. They got a pretty good defense as well. In fact, since week 3, Saints are the only team in the top 6 in yards per play and yards allowed per play. So I mentioned the same stat 2 weeks ago, but the Saints lost. But again, the Falcons had 3 turnovers in that last game, and they still won. And I think a lot of that had to do with the Saints didn't take advantage of that because Kamara wasn't in the game.
See, I kind of look at it the other way. I'm going to take the Falcons here. I'm going to take the points. I still think the Saints win this game, but at 5.5 points for me in a divisional game, a big time clash, whatever you want to call it. I think you're probably looking at a close game. And let me see where the number is right here. 3 of the last 4 games between these 2 teams have been decided by 6 points or fewer. I like that angle. I also like the fact that the Saints, for whatever reason, haven't, again, apples and oranges year to year, whatever. Saints haven't beaten the Falcons since the final week of the 2015 season. Sure, is the Saints defense not the defense that we've seen in years past? They've improved, sure. Not great against the run, though. If let me see here, I forget what it was. New Orleans is, you talk about, they're second in yards per carry, which is actually a really good running attack. On defense, though, 28th against the run. Atlanta's not a whole lot better. Atlanta's 24th against the run in terms of yard per carry. But that Atlanta, we saw on Monday night how good they are when Devontae Freeman's going. Like I said, it's just going to be a close game. I think New Orleans a little bit more undisciplined. They've been called for. I looked this up. They've been called for 21 defensive holdings this year. I think that's tied for the lead in the NFL. They've been called for 9 defensive pass interference. Only Kansas City has more combined holdings / DPIs. So I think there's potential for a big play there. I think this is just one of those ones where it's just a shootout going back and forth. And if I think we're going to be down to the last possession, I'll take the points.
Who's going to have more touchbacks, though?
You guys make fun of that, but Kansas City actually had a big return in that game. That actually came back on a holding call, and they had the better average starting position in that game, and they won. So
I just don't see how the Falcons stop them in this game. It's not great against defending running backs out of the backfield. I think that goes back to the whole tackling thing. And not great at defending number 1 wideouts, too. And Michael Thomas this year. 90 catches again, first 2 years in the league.
Interesting.
I think it's going to have to be, and again, it comes down to who can run the ball and who can stop the run better. But I do think that, you talk about those 3 turnovers. Atlanta takes care of the football. They win that game pretty easily.
True.
You know what I mean?
But the Saints defense is pretty good at forcing
turnovers.
No,
I understand that, but you look at the numbers from that game. Atlanta outgained New Orleans. They were better on 3rd down, and they held the ball for 10 minutes longer than the Saints did. So I think that's how
best players.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying I think that's the best way for Atlanta to overcome the defensive deficiencies is to just hold on to the football. I think their offense is going to be their best defense. I don't know. I just think it's going to be 5.5 points seems like a lot of points for.
It is.
Although I don't like the fact that Atlanta coming off back-to-back road divisional games on a short week. That's a tough spot. So, anything else on that?
No, let's go to Nashville.
Okay. I would love to go to Nashville. That'd be great. Nashville at Christmas time. Well, that sounds delightful. We'll go to the Los Angeles.
Jared Goff will
Rams.
be in Nashville.
Yeah, good for him. The Rams coming off of a very convincing, very ugly, very lopsided, potentially division conference altering game at Seattle. They have to go to Tennessee to take on the Titans. As it stands right now, the Rams are 6.5-point road favorites against Tennessee. This is again the Rams. I think if I'm not mistaken, they could shore up the division crown. I mean, they basically have it already. But I think if they win, they clinch. Tennessee fighting for a playoff spot. Andre, what do you think?
Oh, Tennessee continues to regress to the mean. I've talked about it last week as well.
You hate Tennessee as much.
They're really bad. They looked so bad in all of their wins this year, and now against that game against the Cardinals a couple of weeks ago, it was just horrendous. And they lose to the Niners. Sure, they have Garoppolo now, but they just keep regressing to the mean. Mariota still has more interceptions than touchdowns. Rams are 5th in takeaways. They're also 2nd in sacks. They're going to put pressure on him. And guess what? People say, oh, Rams allow 10 yards on the ground. Oh, the Titans are a good running team. Well, guess what? The Rams are also 1st in the NFL in first quarter points. So they get on top of teams early. It's going to mean Tennessee's going to start throwing the ball a lot. They're not going to really use the ground game. And guess what? Titans also have a -7 turnover differential. Not good at protecting the ball. All of these numbers point against the Titans. That's why they continue to regress to the mean. The Rams are going to put the hammer down and win the West.
Yeah, Titans, they look out of sync on both sides of the ball. I mean, communication issues defensively. Offensively, you mentioned Mariota. He's looked terrible this year. I think he's been one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL this year because I think we all sat here at the very beginning of the season and had pretty high hopes for the Titans in this division. So, needless to say, I like the Rams as well. I just don't see how Tennessee keeps up with them offensively. And I look at that Rams pass rush. It's getting to that legit level. We've talked in recent weeks about Aaron Donald, about how he held out all offseason, but he's still right up there. Probably his best year to date. Robert Quinn has been an absolute beast over the last 4 games. So I just think they generate enough of a pass rush to get Mariota a little bit flustered early, and ultimately it just turns into another one of those smoke shows. I think Todd Gurley too. We didn't hit on a lot of things last week when we were talking about some of the games, me in particular, but that was one thing we nailed was that the Rams are going to come out, feed Todd Gurley, just keep giving it to him, and then just run the Seahawks.
Make it a sweep, Mike. Let's make it a sweep
again this week.
Let's make it a sweep.
What? Come on.
Sweep.
You don't get rich taking road favorites. You just don't. And 6.5 points, a lot. I'd like this a lot more if it was 7, I'll tell you that much. But hey, you're going to leave the back door open for me? I might sneak in for a little late night eggnog. Obviously, Tennessee not very good. I don't think that they are, of all the, what are they, 8-6 or 9-6, whatever they are, 8-6 now. Of all of the teams in that neighborhood, they're probably one of the worst, if not the worst. You talk about I do think that rushing thing is an issue. I think the Rams have not been good against the run all season. This has been an issue for them early in the year, and this has been an issue for them even as lately. They've allowed 100 rushing yards or more in 5 of the last 7 games. I think one of those only games was last week against Seattle, who has no running game whatsoever. Tennessee doesn't do a whole lot well. But they're going to come out and try to run the ball. If they have any sort of success early, I think that gets them a lot more confidence. And they're playing at home. You talk about that -7 turnover ratio, but they're +1 at home. They've been a better team at home. They've won their last 5 straight games at home. All it takes is you just it's easier said than done against a defense like the Rams. Take care of the football. The Rams 7-0 when they win the turnover battle. When they lose it, they're 1-4. They're 2-0 when it's split, but sure.
It's hard to say that when Mariota's the quarterback.
I was gonna say
he has more picks than touchdowns.
26 in the NFL in turnover differential. The Titans,
but they're better at home.
They've won. They are. They have a better turnover rate, and they've won 5 straight home games.
Yeah, against the crappiest of crap in the NFL.
Okay.
Really, look at who they haven't looked good doing it.
You know who they beat at home? They beat the Seahawks.
The Colts.
So, and the Rams beat the Seahawks last week. So
that Seahawks win came very early in the season.
When the Seahawks were better.
True.
When the Seahawks weren't a shriveled mess of a football team under Pete Carroll.
Texans win at home, shriveled mess of a football team. Bengals win at home, shriveled mess of a football team. Ravens before they were really
you can't sit here.
Browns, Colts, all of these are shriveled messes of football teams.
No, but you can't change the argument as you're going through it.
I'm not changing anything. I'm not going to go back to week 3 and say, oh, they beat the Seahawks.
Because all of a sudden the Seahawks and the Ravens aren't good because it doesn't fit your argument.
No. Just look at the last 4 weeks. They barely beat the Colts.
Again, this is
crappy.
Crappy
against this shriveled mess of a football team.
These first 2 games for me are they're
lost
very
to the
similar.
Cardinals and Niners.
These 2 first games are very similar for me in that I think that I still think that the favorites win the game outright. I do. I don't think the Titans are necessarily going to win this football game. I just think it's going to be closer than 6.5 points. I think 6.5 is a lot for a team coming off of a big divisional game, having to travel across country, play on Christmas Eve against a team that's coming home for the first time in almost a month. The team that has a lot to play for still. It's just, I don't know, 6.5 points this time of the year between two teams that are playoff caliber, at least in the playoff hunt, feels like too many for me.
How long is Derrick Henry going to play second fiddle?
I don't understand.
I mean, that's frustrating to watch.
Can you
because
say Mike Mularkey's not a very good coach?
Mularkey's a terrible coach.
And I think last season
he always has been. He just has more talent now.
It was just, I mean, DeMarco Murray he's whatever.
Yeah.
But you watch the game and you just see who's the more explosive back, and it seemed like it was getting more of an even timeshare for a little bit, and then the next thing you know, Derrick Henry falls back to 8-9 carries.
I wish I
don't
remember
understand
where I read this or heard it or whatever, or saw it on TV. It's just such a sign of bad coaching. I forget what the other example was. Just continue to run out DeMarco Murray like he's the number one back is insane. So maybe they get back to Derrick Henry a little bit more, and I feel even better about it. But I don't know. It's tough to go across the country and win a game at the.
Had a lot of issues with Mularkey last season too.
Chilly too.
I think it's a tough guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever really has his finger on the pulse of what the offense is doing, because last year I wanted to see him open it up a little bit more, and they didn't do so until late in the season.
I kind of hope
that kind of set them back.
I kind of hope they miss the playoffs. It's going to be hard for them to miss the playoffs. I think.
They have the Jaguars week 17.
Yeah,
We're fighting for a bye.
But the Jaguars might not have anything to play for either at that point, depending on what happens with the Patriots this week.
I still think Jaguars are going to beat the Titans.
No, they may, but I'm just saying I kind of hope they miss the playoffs just so they can fire him once and for all and get a new. Yeah, I know that
the personnel's there. The team should
Josh
be better.
McDaniels isn't going anywhere.
There needs to be someone more deserving.
Man, he would be.
It would be a nice fit.
McDaniels with Mariota and that rushing attack, I think that'd be a nice fit, but. I don't know.
Let's go to Dallas now.
Yeah, this is a tough week. Seahawks. This game, I tell you what, if you're watching this on Saturday or Sunday before the games, even later in the week, I imagine this line will have changed by then. But the Seahawks, especially the Dallas, it feels like a trap. Feels like a trap.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Seahawks.
I don't know if it's a trap because Dallas is getting a big piece of their offense back.
That's my point. I feel like this should be a bigger spread. The Seahawks going on the road, take on the Cowboys. Cowboys are just 5-point favorites. I feel like this should be at least a touchdown. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's obviously where I'm leaning. But Ricky, why don't you start?
Yeah, I mean, it's a win or go home game for both of them, obviously. And this is, I mean, I would like to think that this would be the type of game where the Seahawks would have a little pride and show up.
Right, that's true.
I mean, historically speaking, it's a team that have had success in recent years. You never see them get blown out like they did this past week. That being said, I'm taking the Cowboys here. I'm taking the favorite because I just look at how bad that run defense was the last 2 weeks going up against Jacksonville and the Rams, and they strike me as just everything is coming apart at the seams. A lot of that obviously is a result of the injuries, but it also gets to a point too where you got teammates bickering at each other. It seems like the Pete Carroll loosey-goosey atmosphere is kind of getting to them a little bit, and now things are just starting to unravel. So I like Cowboys in this game. They come out early, get a big lead. I can just see the Seahawks completely mailing it in. And the Cowboys, good team in the first half, 7th in first half points per game, 3rd in opponent first half points per game. Seahawks on the flip side, not that great in the first half. I just see this as a game where the Cowboys come out, jump out to an early lead, and if you're the Seahawks, you just kind of fall back in your old ways with all these injuries and just kind of start looking at these last couple of weeks where they've just been terrible.
Yeah, and if Dallas gets onto that early lead and they have Zeke now.
And Jason Garrett, I think he said that they was uncertain how they were going to use Zeke to start things off in his first game action back. I tell you what you do. You give it to him about 35 times and run him into the ground.
Oh, yeah. You see his bicep in that picture from Cabo? He looks like
very chiseled.
He's very chiseled.
Not a shriveled up mess of a football team.
And Sean Lee's presence, it continues to make a difference for the Cowboys. He's playing very well. The defense has been showing up lately. Russell Wilson, again, we talked about last week how he's carrying that entire Seahawks team on his back. The poor guy was sacked 7 times last week. That offensive line did him no favors, per usual. And he still has accumulated 81% of that total offense. It would be an NFL record if the season ended today. But, you put that much weight on someone's shoulders are going to collapse eventually. A lot of weight on the shoulders. And I think the Dallas is going to do that to the Seahawks. They're going to make Russell Wilson's shoulders collapse. Yeah, hopefully not really collapse, just like metaphorically collapse.
I don't really have any notes. I didn't even have any notes for this one just because it was like one of those ones. And again, this is probably a huge red flag that I'm just look at this and go, this is my pick right away. But I'm taking the Cowboys as well. For all the reasons
you really
guys
didn't.
It's a tough one not to look at just anecdotally and get the sense that the Seahawks are just kind of falling apart.
Maybe maybe I'm putting way too much stock into this, but a lot of these games this week, I'm looking at like, how much do you have to play for? And you gotta go do it on Christmas Eve or Christmas, like that. These guys hate each other right now. It seems. I don't want to get carried away and say I don't know for sure that they hate each other, but it sure sounds like they. I don't want to
have the locker room bug.
I don't want to have another Mike and Mike debacle, but you know, you got guys yapping at each other. You know, Pete Carroll, it worked great when everything's going real well, but when the you know what starts to hit the fan, that's when guys start looking out for their own. I mean, I guess they're going to get Bobby Wagner back. I think they're a little healthier than they were last week. I don't think it ended up.
He still looked bad though.
Yeah, right. It's just, I don't know. It's just, yeah. Can they win by a touchdown? Yeah, I think so. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Here's another thing. Where the hell is Jimmy Graham?
Yeah, I mean,
where the hell is he gone?
For by and large,
one catch for -1 yards the last 2 weeks.
That's kind of been the entire time there.
Yeah,
I mean at times he flashes, but it just hasn't been good enough.
I mean, I say this as a disgruntled fantasy owner, but
that's where it sounds like it's coming from.
there's a lot of visceral, believe me. I won't bore you with those details, but seriously, but I mean, this is a guy, and you mentioned all the pressure on Wilson. It'd be nice to have a nice little security blanket producing like that, and it seems like they're starting to call him out a little bit on that too. Pete Carroll said it's kind of frustrating when you don't get him going. So,
yikes.
Let's go to upsets.
Okay.
The perception of internal turmoil.
Yeah,
not saying it's not a fact.
Right.
It's not a fact. It's just a perception.
Sure sounds like
sure
it.
seems like
yeah. That's what everybody else
don't
is saying.
Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that.
All right.
Probably the happiest bunch ever.
So did you say you want to start upsets?
Yeah, let's do upsets.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go
Okay.
first. I'll go Baltimore Ravens. Battle of Baltimore. Baltimore Colts versus Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are 13.5-point favorites. So, and I'm still confident in them that they will cover the spread. The Ravens, I still don't think they're a very good football team, but they do their business against the bottom feeders of the NFL. Look at these teams they've...
Start with locks. Did you say... Is that on me?
I said locks, right?
Okay.
I thought you won this. I
Did I
thought we
say
agreed
upsets?
on upsets.
That's what I thought too, but we got locks on the thing. I don't want to look like an idiot, so I'm going
I
to
look like an idiot.
Dive back in for the film review.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. Locks.
That's
my fault.
That wasn't.
It's those lucid dreams I've been getting lately.
Christmas miracle.
It's the lucid dreams I've been getting. So locks. Sorry, locks. I'm going with the Ravens, 13.5-point favorites against the Colts. Listen, here's some of the teams the Ravens have beat. Bengals, Browns, Raiders, Dolphins, Packers without Aaron Rodgers, Texans, Lions, and Browns. None of those teams are very good. Now they're playing another really bad team in the Colts. The margin of victory in those 8 wins averaged 20 points. They just blow out all these bad teams. And the turnover margin in those 8 games, plus 24. They just force all these turnovers against bad quarterbacks. They're going to do that against Jacoby Brissett. By the way, yeah, he played pretty decent. But they got blown out by the Broncos last week. Ugh, disgusting. Indianapolis, worst yards per play differential in football. And the Colts offensive line has allowed the most sacks in the league. So this is going to be a disastrous game for the Colts. I look at that as like a 44-7 Ravens victory.
All right. Speaking of teams that seem to be checking out, the Bengals. It doesn't seem. They don't seem to know whether they don't know if they're coming or going at this point. Is a report out there that Marvin Lewis is leaving after this year. Then he comes out and says he isn't. Who knows? Probably gone. It's about time they get rid of him. The guy's been there for about 700 years and he hasn't really done anything. So this is just a throwaway game for them. The Lions, meanwhile, still a little something to play for. Throwing up a Hail Mary. They're trying to get in. 5-point favorites. I love that they're going into Cincinnati, but Bengals outscored 67-14 over the last 2 weeks. And it's just not a lot to latch on to if you're that team. So I think the Lions have been pretty good on the road actually this year. Get in there, 5-point spread. I think they win by a touchdown.
Sure. I've talked a little bit at times this year about my apprehension toward taking Andy Reid as a 10-point or more favorite. He is a 10-point favorite this week against the Miami Dolphins, but I'm still going to take Kansas City. Nice bounce-back win for them last week. Well, 2 in a row, actually, now. I feel like they're one of the teams that they'll beat up on bad teams, and we've seen that at times over the course of the season. That they just walloped the Raiders 2 weeks ago. And again, nice win that they really needed on Saturday night against the Chargers. And then they get Miami coming to town. It's going to be very cold. A team coming from Miami. Again, I hate to be a broken record, on Christmas weekend with nothing to play for, with Jay Cutler as their quarterback. Yikes. this is
23 degrees.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be cold. This is not a team that's used to necessarily playing in the cold. Not a team that necessarily probably wants to be playing football anymore this year. Sure, there's contracts and things like that to play for, but even playing bad teams that they keep the game close somehow. Jay Cutler finds a way to throw it away. I just think there's too many mistakes, and the Chiefs really take advantage of teams that make mistakes. Miami 0-4 its last 4 games as a road dog. 2-7 last 9 December games as a road dog, and 2-6 against the spread in its last 8 December games overall. So
That game, the Dolphins game last week, Bills-Dolphins, that closes a pick 'em, right?
It was 24-16. It was.
did it close? I thought it was like
it was
3.
3.5 points for the Bills.
Picking the AFC East outside of a Patriots game is just a chore every year. I feel like it's been the same narrative for about 10,
That's what happens when you have bad quarterbacks going up against each other. You know what I'm talking about?
Week to week picking those games is just.
That's true.
Now we can go to upsets, guys. Now we can go to
Upset.
upsets. I'm sorry about that. I promise that'll be my last snafu of the year.
All right,
Probably not.
you want to kick us off? Who's doing
you go
this?
ahead?
You guys, I started.
I'm gonna take the Giants, 4-point underdogs over the
actually
Cardinals.
really like that.
Cardinals going back to Drew Stanton at quarterback this week. It doesn't really matter who the hell they put back there. That offense is just offensive line issues. They lost AP last week. Just a mess. Tough for them to score points. I think that this is gonna be a low score affair.
I can see Eli Manning going to Phoenix and having a nice Christmas Eve win, and then going out with the entire Manning family to a nice steakhouse in Arizona and enjoying Christmas dinner there. I just saw a vision. in my
they
head
did
of
have a classic Giants collapse there this past week.
I know, but it's Christmas weekend with the Manning
jumped out
family.
early.
It's a good opportunity for Eli to get back in the win
The
column.
chestnuts will be roasting on an open fire.
Yes. I'm going to go with the Bucks, 10-point underdogs against the Panthers. Not to just cover, but to win outright. I'm still not a believer in Carolina. Even at their record, I'm just going to die on this hill, I'm telling you. Look, their yards per play differential, even. It's like 0. But they've been doing better in the turnover differential lately. Cam Newton, in the last 6 games, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's playing like best football of his career. But is he really? In those 6 games with 11 touchdowns, 1 pick, he's completed only 56% of his passes. Horrible completion percentage. You know what this reminds me of? His MVP season. I don't know how he's doing it, but they're doing it somehow. Eventually, I think he's going to collapse, and I think it'll be this week against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Jameis Winston, since his comeback from his injury, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks, at least 65% completion percentage in all 3 of those losses that he had. All those losses were 1-possession losses. I think he's going to keep this one close, maybe even win this one. I like it. Bucks. Eye patch.
There wasn't a whole lot left to really pick from. This was a tough week.
Especially when all the favorites keep winning.
Yeah. So I guess I'll take
I know, we're backing ourselves into a corner by trying to pick an upset each week.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this is probably going to be a different pick for me in the picks column that goes up on NESN.com. But I'm going to take the Denver Broncos there down to 3.5-point road underdogs against the Washington Redskins. I don't really have a good reason. I think the Denver defense is probably a little bit better. Longer week of rest. They played Thursday night. They won on Thursday night on the road. And I don't know. Who cares? It's the the Redskins and the Broncos. I don't even remember what game we're talking about. It's so bad.
I lost my show and tell item. That's where it is.
If you watch that game, you stink. All right. I guess we're going to show and tell.
Yeah, let's do it.
I lost my item.
He lost his item. I got this is an open bag of pretzels, chocolate pretzels. It's a nice little snack.
Oh, those are good.
It's a great snack.
And it's
where'd you get
because
those?
it's one thing over the last few weeks that's really throwing my brain into a
Rex
pretzel.
Ryan?
Yeah. It's okay, I got it. There's one thing that's throwing my mind into a pretzel. It's that all of a sudden, Blake Bortles, coming out of nowhere, is actually look like a legitimate NFL quarterback. We'll see how long it lasts. But this is a guy who we historically have just dumped on, particularly early in the season and coming into the season. And rightfully so, yeah. I mean, he went through some rough moments. But in the month of December, no quarterback in the NFL outranks him in terms of passer rating, total QBR, yards per attempt, or touchdown passes. Jaguars averaging 35 points a game. So, yeah, that is it's throwing my mind into a pretzel here. And it's also going to create some questions as to what they do with their quarterback situation this offseason. Interesting move. I mean, do you move on from him if he continues to play at this type of level to make a deep playoff run? Who knows? So it's something to keep an eye on, but it's completely flabbergasting me as somebody who is just dumped all over Bortles time and time again. So maybe I deserve an apology for it.
Yeah.
Bonnie probably feels the same way. Trash.
Trash, yes. People still not buying into it.
It's good for him.
I got a bunch of.
Don't die on the Nothing.
I got a bunch of U.S. stamps here. I know Ricky Doyle knows exactly how much these stamps cost.
I do now.
What is
Yeah.
it, 48 cents?
I believe it's 49.
49 cents.
Which was just, you want to talk about throwing your mind into a pretzel.
You know, the first
That's
U.S. stamp
expensive.
actually costs 5 cents. So
Why, the snail mail is falling by the wayside.
email is free, though. I don't know what snail mail is. What's snail mail? Oh, like regular mail? Okay, so anyway, these stamps, I was thinking about, Christmas time. You can send a lot of Christmas cards, holiday cards, greeting cards, thank you cards. And you need stamps to send all those cards. I'm gonna get a stamp, put it on a letter, and send it to the Green Bay Packers and thank them for this entertaining season they gave us. Wish them a Merry Christmas. Let them rest Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the year. No, because if you go to OddsShark, the Packers line isn't out yet. And why isn't it out? Is because are they going to start Aaron Rodgers or are they not going to start Aaron Rodgers? So let me send them a letter and wish them a Merry Christmas and give them a bit of advice. Just bench Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the year. Everyone, for some reason, especially you, Michael, thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to come back and save the Packers and let them go through the playoffs. They're going to really. They had such a horrible outing last week against the Panthers. I mean, if it wasn't for that late touchdown to Richard Rodgers, they would have lost by 2 possessions. They lost to the Panthers. You know how I feel about the Panthers. So the season's over for Green Bay, and thank you, Merry Christmas. Just rest Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to get hurt anymore. And, this was Michaela Vernava's idea, by the way, the stats. So I'm sure she wants that shout out.
Sounds out. Last week, real quick, Nest.com Week 15.
You seem very disgruntled.
Green Bay Packers at -2.5 points, Carolina Panthers. Ricky picks the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he's good. Andre picks the Packers. Carolina, blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers is the perfect man to expose that. Mike Cole, the Green Bay Packers fan. Panthers. Picked the Panthers last week, you son of a...
These things.
You just sit there and you besmirch my good name with baseless speculation. That's horrible. I never once said what you just accused me of saying.
You were very confident, not on Nesson.com, but off the record. You were confident that Aaron Rodgers was going to come back and they're going to have him run the table.
I even had this conversation with you at the Nesson holiday party where I said, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it feels good for at least one game to have Aaron Rodgers back and know.
But don't you agree that they should arrest him at this point?
Yes, I agree.
There's no point.
Stop doing that! You change the argument all the time when you've been exposed for having a poor argument or being 1,000%
I don't think it's a poor
wrong.
argument. I just misquoted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did, so it's a poor argument.
No.
If you're going to have a good argument, you have good facts. You have good evidence to back it up. You did not have good evidence.
Would
there.
you say that
So
a
it's
lot of
bad
Packers
argument.
fans thought that they would run the table once Rodgers came
See,
back?
and this is classic Andre. Classic Andre. It starts with one thing, he gets called out for being wrong, and it turns into another thing. So now all of a sudden, it's all these Packer fans. It went from me guaranteeing a win for it to being all Packers fans. God, come with you.
You should have used that comb as a show.
This, I have a gift. This is
Avoided
my
this whole
show and tell.
situation.
I was gonna give this to you because I feel like you've had a good year. Whatever. I feel like I was gonna give you. I'm not giving you it now.
No.
This gift goes to the New England
Big
Patriots.
old bag of coal.
Yeah, it is. If anybody knows Cole, it's me.
I like that.
I don't know. This is for the Patriots.
Why do you have a USA Today Sports Images?
It doesn't matter.
Go on.
We got it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's a gift for the Patriots, obviously. We went through this whole show without talking about Patriots-Steelers. Patriots, better team, better coach, better prepared, better quarterback, better just about everything. But they did get a gift for that. That it's the rule is the rule, but geez, to go from practically blowing that game to having a quite controversial call, we'll say, it was the right call, dumb rule, and then to have Ben Roethlisberger inexplicably throw the ball into literally the entire Patriots defense was an early Christmas gift from Big Ben to the Patriots. Actually, I'm going to go take a lap after this for calling him Big Ben. It is absolutely ridiculous that we call a human being a dumb Big Ben. It sounds so dumb.
Yeah, it's really
Big
dumb.
Ben, Big Ben, Big Ben. The guy's a guy.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, whatever,
Huge.
but like we don't call like Tom Brady Medium Tom.
Yeah, because
I get that there's
a
a come
building
from
in
somewhere,
England
yeah.
called Big Ben.
It's just stupid. I don't like nicknames. Anyway, that's it for the spread. That's Nugcom Football Picks podcast. I don't know what's the deal next week because we got some scheduling issues.
Why is the Big Ben called the Big Ben?
who knows? This is not the
This
time
is- yeah.
nor the place. We're trying to get out of here because I'm done dealing with Andre.
This fire's getting hot. I gotta get the hell out.
Hopefully you have a nice Christmas or whatever it is you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, have a good Monday. And see you again next week. Adios.